Matt was pretty proud of it. It was an old homebrew recipe that he came up with, and he's going to Calsec, and he was a homebrewer, and he just basically got a chance to brew a little bit of this at a time at down at Firestone. We used to only pour this at the brewery, and it kind of caught on. David one time came up and he says, "How do you make sense of all these seasonals?" He was up in Seattle, I think, at one of the Whole Foods, and he just shook his head. He saw a whole end cap, the end of the aisle, just all seasonals. It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then I said, well, David, you live in a place where there's 2 seasons. It's like either it rains or it's sunny, and that's it. But yeah, now 2-3 years later, we have a seasonal program, and it was basically slotting in the Velvet Merlin. And we didn't have to change it, but it's just when you put these labels on bottles, a good example is our Union Jack with that little ripped up, torn shred of a Union Jack flag. The TTB, the Tax and Trade Bureau, I was trying to remember what that meant. But they don't allow you to put any flag or any religious outright like images or anything, because it just means that if you see a flag or something, you'd think that organization that flag represents said yes and produced that product. So you won't even see an American flag. But to give you an idea, he just thought about the Velvet Merlin, change 1 letter, kind of keep the theory of the beer, kind of the name of the beer whole. And then Matt Burleson, his little nickname in the brewery has always been Merlin. So yeah, but the beer, this is what Matt brewed originally for that style. And the Merkin is now taking on a beer that's like 8.5% and like whiskey oak aged or bourbon oak aged, which is different. But no, this thing,
I can drink it all day long. I love it.
Oatmeal stout, 5.5%, 30 and change IBUs. Really not a beer that's got anything. I just get that cocoa, that chocolate malt, that nice kind of soothing. It's kind of like, this is just comfort
really
beer.
Yeah, really good.
Really good mouthfeel too. I always like to go with the bitter chocolate, like more of a Mexican chocolate with this, kind of offset it a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's nice. I
And
think
this-
we did a mole with this or something like that in the years before.
This is probably teetering on about 6 to 8 months old, this bottle. So I think it's holding extremely well for being a 5.5% beer. But when it's fresh, it's got a little bit more of a sharp flavor to it. It doesn't, this softens over time. But yeah, this would be kind of something I'd say would be later in the dinner, or something that would,
I think it would go with like caramel flavors.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely be an easy dessert beer. This is right off the bat, but
Color-wise, it's also kind of fun to play with some people's perceptions on beer, light versus dark beer, heavy beer versus heavier beer. I always like that comparison of throwing a Guinness in front of somebody and saying this is one of the lightest beers you can find anywhere, just for the fact that it's got a light alcohol content. Plus, if you've ever done a black and tan, Guinness is one that floats over the bass. So it's just a light body beer. But yeah, so this would release about a week or 2 after your beer belly dinner. So this would be a preview for the season's
I'm going to be that one to use
beer. So
start you off.